Hello everyone, this is Emily from Vox Singing Academy, and if you like our content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Instagram and Facebook page, audio podcast everywhere podcasts are available, and keep your questions coming. Today our podcast is going to Kelsonic Studios to have a conversation with Mark Kelson, who has a unique perspective of self-taught singer who in his 40s, after a 15 years of successful career, came in for singing lessons, and what has happened. Enjoy the show. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Vox Singing Academy podcast number 30. Yay, we did it! This time, third time a charm. And I am today with a very special guest, Mark Kelson, a lead singer of The Eternal.
Yes, I am.
And they have a new epic album called Waiting for the Endless Dawn, with the first track around 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. So proper doom. I really like it. I really enjoyed it. It's a fantastic album. Mark is a friend of mine, the longest Aussie friend. I think we've met in 2005? 2005 online, working on another project of Duncan Patterson.
And you were living in Russia.
And I was living in Russia, and we never even met.
Yeah.
Once I moved to Australia, Mark thought it's a joke when I texted him from the airport and told him that me and my hubby want to go with him for coffee.
There you were.
Yes, and there I am. After doing, how many albums did I sing on for you?
I think
Kartika.
you had done Kartika. Had you done the one after that? No, you did that one when you were here.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 albums out of 8,
Yep.
of which 2 are live albums, which are absolutely epic.
We've been working together for a long time, I think, including duets and various other things.
Yes.
And now your vocals are a permanent fixture in our music, I think. And we're writing our new record with you in mind as well. So.
That is super sweet. The thing why Mark is on the podcast today is because he has an absolutely unique perspective of already being a successful singer, a very good singer, even before taking singing lessons. And then he made a plunge and came for lessons with me after 10 years after we've known each other.
I did, because I wanted more control over my voice, and I still don't practice enough. But
Don't say it. What?
Well, I feel like I could be more studious, but my workload is quite heavy with the various things I'm involved in.
Okay, so various things that Mark is involved with are obviously his band, with which he is rehearsing how many times a day now?
A day?
A week?
I think
it's already been a day. I've just been working for 10
I think we're
hours.
sort of sitting like we're about to head to Europe in about 4 weeks, so we're knuckling down now. So I think we're hitting 2 or 3 times a week and trying to get the set refined. It's obviously difficult. I have a hectic work life as well as my music life, so squeezing it all in is quite challenging.
And your work life is?
I'm an audio lecturer. I lecture at RMIT University, and I lecture at JMC Academy. Some of you may have even been my students. You tend to pop up all over the place. And I run my little recording studio here, Kelsonic Studios, as well.
Where we are right now.
now.
This is where a lot of good music gets written.
Yeah, so a lot of things. So I've got my fingers in a lot of pies, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I didn't really realise how many until you sort of spelled it all out when we were having a conversation before.
Yeah, and 12 lectures a week?
Oh, right now I've got quite a heavy teaching load. Much like you, I teach from a very industry and real kind of perspective, and I love what I do. I love teaching, and I love audio, and I think that's why I'm kind of in demand in teaching a lot of classes, because I relate well to my students, and I am audio. I don't just teach it. I really just love it. So audio, music, it's just it's just what drives me. So
I think we have another podcast in here somewhere. Okay, we gotta do a second one for this specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
For you, from the perspective of a sound engineer working with singers.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, for now, let's just stick with the plan. And the plan today is to talk about your development as a singer. So can you tell me a little bit, when was the first time that you realized that this is something you want to do with you as a musician?
Look, I remember, I think I dabbled in it, singing in high school bands, and, you know, I wasn't particularly good, but I guess being in rock bands, when you're young, someone has to sing, right? Yeah. Someone gets lumped with it. And then I was in kind of my first kind of serious band, and it was like a heavy band with a aggressive growling vocal guy. We were called Cryptal Darkness, I believe.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so. Yeah.
And so there was another guy singing, and then when he left, I had to sing. And I guess being the songwriter and the composer, I had the idea for it. But look, it took. If you go back and look at my discography, I've made several albums where I don't sing that fantastically. So I kind of developed on the job, I guess, out of necessity, because someone needed to do it. So that was just how it kind of progressed. So I guess the first album, I would say that when my vocals started to sound maybe like what they do now, would be the first Eternal record 15 years ago this year. Was the first song on that, or the first full band track as an instrumental, but A Cruel Misfortune is the first song on that record. And that was when I really developed my melodic, harmonious. I guess I'm quite known for being very melodic and using a lot of harmonies, and that's kind of unusual in the kind of music I play, which is kind of heavier, slower music. Everyone kind of underplays the melody, where my natural instinct is to overplay the melody or make it quite melodic. So the music's quite heavy, but my vocals have always been quite melodic. Probably since the first Eternal record, I would say, is that you could put that on here, a style that's kind of carried forward.
And we will link to this discography right there below in the description. Now, so when you started to sing in your first band and you got, nobody else could sing, so you had to. What main struggles did you have as a singer?
Pitch.
Pitch.
Well, the initial style I sung was very sort of I couldn't really do the aggressive style vocals, like the growling, and I still struggle with that a bit, and that's kind of what I've been singing you about. So it was sort of more of a droney, gothy type sounding thing. You know, I think the early days pitch was quite hard, and not having any training. I think where I kind of developed was I was a guitarist and a developing producer, so my ear for pitch was relatively good. So I knew when I wasn't in key. Once again, it's on the job. I'm not a guy that sort of sits around and practices scales a lot. But I think as my production skills developed, my singing skills probably developed as well.
Do you remember your first show, by the way? The first one that you sang at?
Oh, the first, not like a high school one.
High school one is fun though as well. Were you in any?
Yeah, like year not no. Well, actually, let me think. Like I was in a band called Battle Axe when I was in year 9, and we just did Metallica and AC/DC songs. And I remember I had a really high voice, even for the first albums when I sang. My voice was quite high.
Okay, let's give it a try. Battle Axe.
It was like Metallica covers, and I remember singing "Seek and Destroy," and I was like, "Seek and Destroy," like with a teenage non-broken voice. And that was it. We used to put concerts on in the school. I went to Deer Park High School, for those of you in the western of Melbourne, and we used to put concerts on in front of the courtyard. And then I did audition for the play Hair, and I got a part as a singing part, and then I said, no way am I doing that, and I backed out of it. I didn't have the confidence to be in a musical, but I got the part. And then I did some music in some other school plays, but I guess like Cryptal Darkness was the first one where I was probably like, I knew I was the front person of the band, and but that was mostly local shows in Melbourne and Sydney and Adelaide, and that's kind of where that went. The Eternals, the first band that took me abroad to actually singing. front of people in other
Front of
places.
people.
And the first band I played really big concerts with touring with bands like Opeth and Amorphous and Anathema and Catatonia and all my favourite bands from the sort of dark style of music we play, and actually sharing the stage with these people and having to sing on stage before them. So that was
Awesome.
very challenging.
So having trained your skill up on the job and performing, have you ever had to deal with losing your voice after a performance?
Yes, I remember we did a tour with Uriah Heep. If you've heard of the 70s rock band Uriah Heep, we did a tour with them and I lost my voice and I had to do the gig and I was like razor blades. And, our song Everlasting was in Who Has Been Left Behind, like that really high bit. And I was just broken. I was broken up. It just wasn't there. But I remember European tour with The Eternal in winter, instantly got really sick. And I think the worst one was probably with Alternative 4, another band I was in, really lost, like really sick on that one. And I was taking a thing called Vocal Zones, which is like a vocal soother that they have. I think they have them here now, but they're quite different in Europe. They're very, very strong. So you can be like butter while you're singing, but afterwards it's quite painful. So I think probably a problem for me at that point, and what Emily's kind of probably been putting into me more, is I didn't know how to care for my voice. I'm still not wonderful at it. But on the last tour we did, I was doing Emily's vocal warm-ups and doubles my projection abilities when I get on stage.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I remember being in Sydney on our recent tour and the band was playing on stage and I was warming up in the hallway and I was louder than the band. so it was like, really, that really helped. Warming up really, really helps. And I think my problem on those earlier European tours was, I wasn't really looking after myself. You've got to look after yourself. When you're a young person going out on the road, you're probably thinking more like having a good time and partying and stuff. And really, I think at some point it became a very clear concern to me that people are coming to see me sing now, and that my voice is an important part of the whole thing, and that I really need to preserve that and look after it. And I toured with a few professional bands that I'd seen who had wonderful singers, like Michael from Opeth is amazing, and Vinny, as we were talking about earlier, Vinny from Anathema. They're all amazing and they all look after their voices, and that's like a priority. And I guess that just comes down to like me accepting that people might want to see me sing. So I started to sort of approach that in a different way. And I wouldn't recommend that you go on a European tour if you're the singer and, party too hard or anything.
So out of those warm-ups, do you have a favorite one?
I like the one where you go from like the when you do that.
The siren one.
The siren one. I like that. I do that. I generally do your scale warm-up video.
So the one that like a 15-minute
the 15-minute
exercises.
The 15-minute one we put together where you kind of start gentler and then you start to push the higher parts of my voice and then you start to break in the more aggressive part. Because I have to hold a lot of long notes, I guess, that exercise that I just did then really helps me. So I tend to that's the final thing I do, and I'll just hold the note for like 30, 40 seconds or something. The breathing is probably, a thing you help me with a lot as well, is getting there's so many things I still need to take more seriously.
The thing is, like, I understand that it's very often not a priority when you're young to do boring things like warm-ups, but the thing is, this is what will preserve your longevity in the long run as a singer.
I also think if you warm up, and being a producer, not a DJ producer, but a record producer, if a singer is not warmed up, the notes tend to wobble, pitch tends to be a little flat. You don't tend to get those really solid notes and those solid moves between notes. So I find, warming up just gets you there. You really need to do it. Also, if you don't warm up, you tend to blow out your voice quicker.
Absolutely. So, when you decided to come in for singing lessons, what was your main difficulty? Do you remember what you said to me in your first class?
I wanted to do some more aggressive style vocals. I felt like that was something the band was wanting to introduce, and I still need to develop that further with you. I've developed some studio methods of doing it, but I haven't got quite to a place where I can do it live the way I want to do it yet. I have a very sort of smooth, harmonious voice, so to do a more aggressive style is really quite hard for me. That's definitely a thing. I'd say I need to warm up more because I'm older and my voice is actually lowered compared to where it used to be. So some songs have changed key, like that song Everlasting used to be quite high. We've dropped it down a bit. So having to adjust to the way my voice has changed with my age, which I actually like it. I like the more low range that I have, even though I don't have all the high range I have. But I think through our tests, through warming up, when we were warming up, it's still there. It's just harder to tap into than it used to be for me. But I've gained all this low end, which I quite like. You know, working with a guy who joined my band the last 3 or 4 years, who was also a record producer and an extremely professional musician, Richie Pope, who plays in Dreadnought as well as The Eternal. We became a strong songwriting team, and I felt like, you know, it was a point where the band was at a new level, and I needed to maybe have more control over my voice, and the potential fact that, you know, we were going on tour again is quite daunting. So
another question: a lot of people are very shy to go to a singing teacher or to say that they're seeing a singing teacher and learning a new thing, because by some reason, like another student of mine asked me recently, young boy, hi Oscar, in high school right now, and he asked me a really interesting question. He's like, why whenever a singer is being interviewed, they say, so what do you do with your voice? They just say that they are doing warm-ups, and nobody ever mentions singing teacher. And I have a perspective on that. I think that by some reason, people think that if they see a teacher, something's wrong with them. Like they couldn't get somewhere by themselves on their own talent, like their own grit. And like going to teacher is like shameful. And
I think having a singing teacher, even after 15 years or 20 years I've been doing this, is phenomenal. And I think if there's a general bit of advice I could give anyone in music production or performance, is humble yourself. Always be humble. The minute you become egotistical, you'll never get better. You know what I mean? Like, so you need to always realize that you can be better. You know, that's a thing. And for me, in every aspect of my career and my life, personal and professional, I want to be better. So I can always take, you know, if I've got people in here as a record producer and I'm telling them, hey, your pitch is a little off and that, I should be able to be introspective to myself and say, hey, I need that. So I'm proud that you're my singing teacher and that you've helped me, and that, you know, we'll do pre-production on the new record together and all those things. And that's a big part when we've started writing the new record, is the whole process is your name is mentioned constantly, because we want to make the best album we can make for ourselves and for the people that like our music. And there's no ego in that. You've got to want to be your best. And if you're just a person at home listening to some diva doing scales and stuff, they probably understand the scales they're doing and the notation and the technique and all these things. And you may have a natural inclination to be a great singer, but training in any aspect of any career, I think, and an outside perspective is fantastic. You'll always get something from someone else. Taking in things from Emily, taking in things from other singers I like, you know, you can't just live in a little bubble and be the best you can be in life, I don't think.
Oh, that is fantastic sentiment. Right now, as you're working on a new record and you're preparing for a live tour in Europe, another tour, can you please recall your preparation for your first tour and compare it to your preparation for this one from the singing standpoint?
The first tour, the only preparation in mind was rock and roll. We're going on tour. We're living our dream.
Razor blades!
Yeah, and razor blades take place at the end. Like I'm worried so much more about things that you might find boring, like rest and what are we going to eat. Even worrying about like my lecture load and how much I'm talking before I leave for the tour, because I am lecturing really heavily up until I leave, and that does take its toll on my voice as well. As far as preparation, I'll be taking your singing warm-ups with me, and I'll be making that part of what I do every day on the tour. Whereas I probably wouldn't have done that previously, and I did that on the Australian tour as well. I pulled out the videos every day.
And do you notice the difference?
Oh yeah, when I get on stage, like my voice definitely lasts longer and more powerful. And projection is something I'm quite good at, but I can project even more. And I also notice that sometimes my students, even in my lectures, because I think I just project a lot. In general now, it's like, oh, shut up! I just talk. I can really project. And the lessons even help me more to do that. You've got to look after yourself to look after your voice as well. So worrying about how you're going to sleep, how much you're going to drink, because obviously that's part of like the kind of life that you, when you're on a tour, is you're on the move. You're not always eating the best. There's drinks in the dressing room. There's all kinds of things. So you've got to sort of have some self-discipline, and that's something that I'm really working hard on to get good at, because I really care. I feel a lot more pressure than ever to perform really well.
No time like right now.
No, I guess because I fell into singing by default. I guess I didn't take it seriously, but I guess I never thought of myself really as a singer. You know, but your voice backed my voice up and said nice things about it. So, and people like our records, and so
you're a beautiful, beautiful singer, Mark. You've got such a beautiful tone.
Thank you. It's, you know, singing, and that's the other thing about going to singing lessons is you are exposing yourself emotionally, like, you know, and that's the hard thing for me, like going into singing lessons and revealing my weaknesses, and then, you know, worrying that people in the hallway or whoever is going to hear me, or, you know, you do become self-conscious in that respect. So it's quite different than being on stage. On stage, I'm okay, but when you're exposed in that little environment, that can be quite...
Do you think if we were strangers, like if you didn't know me, would you come for, like, I don't exist, like I am not a singing teacher. At this point in life, when you came for singing lessons, would you seek them out, already being a professional singer with 8 albums and...
Yeah, I think I still, you know, I still would probably seek it out. I think it's definitely a huge benefit that it's you, because we've sung on records together, and I trust you. And
you remember how bad I was on Kartika? Oh my God.
But I don't know if you were, what you mean pitch-wise?
Yeah, that was her.
Well, you know, back in those days, there was no auto-tune or anything like that.
Yeah.
We weren't using any of that kind of stuff. I love your vocals on that.
Yeah, we're gonna link some of that below as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it sounds great.
And
we'll be playing that song again.
And it went with you to Japan, those backing vocals, didn't they?
She's on the back. You're on the backing. You were on the backing tracks for this tour as well.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm virtually going with the Eternal on their tour again.
You are. She's always on tour. We use keyboards and specific backing vocals on a tracking system.
It was so weird when I was at your album presentation.
And your voice was on the stage.
And I was filming them. Again, I will put a link down below into some of those bootlegs right there. I was filming the band, and it was so weird hearing my voice coming back at me. Like 5 enemies there on the back. It was super weird. I will never get used to this. What I can say from my experience of working with you, remember this little Instagram video that I snapped of you in the dressing room? Of you just going for a note and just holding it?
Yeah.
And just holding it. Kind of just holding it and just come on, just holding it. How much longer? Okay, done. Now he's done. And you did this beautiful slide down, not just choked on the note. There was core compression, there was vocal breath control involved. Beautiful.
I'm probably not even aware I'm doing most of those things.
So this is what the exercises are for. Those of you who have been to our lessons or had lessons with any of our teachers, you know that all the exercises are custom. There is no cookie cutter. There are some, everybody gets different instructions. Some of them are quite similar. We wouldn't say, watch your pitch. We would say, that was a bit under, go higher. Smile more, go firmer on this word.
What you do at the first lesson is it's like a doctor doing a checkup. You checked the length of my range. You checked what
The length.
cut. All right, let me start that again.
Just check the range.
All right, you checked my range. You checked how far I could, how high I could go, how low I could go. You just sort of examined the barriers of my voice, then worked out a plan of attack from there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a personal approach to me. That was tailored to exactly what I needed. You weren't like giving me some generic, this is in the book, so you need to sing like this. You were taking the time to listen. That's the key with sound and music, is listening. And you were listening.
Yes, there was this beautiful book. Sorry, I'm butting in. I'm so
okay.
sorry. I'm woman-splaining. For once. There's this beautiful book called All You Need Is Ears.
It's true.
By this sound engineer who was working with Beatles. And I'm so blanking up on this. And Peter's gonna kill me because I don't know. I don't remember the
George
name.
Martin?
Yes. Oh my God, thank you. So look up this book. I will try and link it down to Audible and to Goodreads. The book is called All You Need Is Ears. George Martin talks there about how important it is to trust yourself, to analyze what you're doing, and to improve on it constantly. Record, listen to it, think how you can improve, and improve on it. I have another question for you, Mark. When you finish, so we talked about the importance of cool downs after the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're on tour. Do you have any of the dates that have the shows back to back?
Yes, there's at least 5 days straight in there. Where there's usually most of it's like 2, a day off, 2. We're not young anymore. But then there is a couple with it. I think there's a solid 4 or 5 days. So that's usually where the problems will start to appear if we're not looking after ourselves, or I'm not looking after myself.
Yeah. So when you finish a show, please make sure to cool down. You can do your arm exercise. You can do just gentle hums. Give it a go. Let's do it together now. Literally that for about 4 or 5 minutes while you're packing, while you're getting your gear together, and that's gonna help a lot. Everybody who has shows back to back or just had a bit of a workload, make sure that you do your cool downs. This is important as well. I will put the links to some cool downs as well down below. Have a look in the description. Well, Mark, do we have anything of yours to plug?
Well, The Eternal has a new album called Waiting for the Endless Dawn.
Yes!
It's been out it's coming on about a year at the moment. So
Awesome.
It seems like not that long ago, but I
Okay.
guess, yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about this album? I will ask you about some tracks there.
Yes.
Let's go into some albums. Okay, The Wound. The length of the track, nice 1955.
Now, there's a reason for that. Like, it's not a long song for long song's sake. It's not like one of those drony Sano songs where it just drones for 20 minutes. It has a lot of movement. We wanted to write a piece that was kind of, there's a film for that song. And we wanted to write something that was kind of like a soundtrack piece. So it has a lot of movement, a lot of ups and downs, and definitely doesn't feel like 20 minutes when you listen to it, I don't think, because it's not particularly repetitive. It was also very challenging to we used to write long songs, and I'd started honing my songwriting down to these really short, kind of catchy songs, and I wanted to just, throw something into the works and be a little bit more progressive and complicated, and that's kind of where the long thing has come back. It's obviously that song also has about 200 tracks in it. Quite dense.
What kind of vocals are there on this particular track? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
That's most, like 99%, like really kind of clean melodic type vocals. There's some, I do go into a few different voices. I go into like a really kind of, my natural kind of high, mid-range, sweet sounding voice. But I also delve into kind of a deeper sort of gothic type voice. And there's a little bit of a screaming at the end as well. But, I don't do any vocal style for vocal style just for the sake of it. It's got to fit the feeling of the part. So if I need to scream for drama or yell, I will do that. If I need to sing low for atmosphere and feeling, if I need to lift the song up, really everything I sing is to fit within the dynamic of the song.
Awesome. Tell me a little about Don't Believe Anymore.
Well, Don't Believe Anymore is a cover of an ICEHOUSE song. So,
Yay!
So some of you who are old enough have probably heard of ICEHOUSE. Some of you who haven't. But it's a famous Australian band anyway. So we wanted to do an Australian song on this record. It's fairly true to the original style, a bit slower, and a bit lower.
Why this one? Why not, I don't know, AC/DC?
ICEHOUSE is really known for their poppy sort of top 40 songs, but they had a lot of really dark sort of gothy, neuromantic type stuff, and that song just always resonated with me. It's always since I was a child, and I just felt like it sounded like the Eternal. So I just felt like it was natural for us to do that, and many reviewers have just thought it was our song. So it was also a homage to Australians historically have made dark, moody music as well. So it's flying the flag. I guess when you're on the, we play a fairly European style music, but I still want to add our own sort of, being proud that where we're from. You'll see many bands, we play Swedish style this, and it's but you're Australian, right?
Yeah.
So I still feel like we should pay homage to where we grew up and where we came from. So that's the only cover we've ever recorded.
Can you look at the track list right now and tell me which song is the most challenging from vocal standpoint for you to perform live?
Rise from Agony. The chorus has some really, really... Now, you probably know the song. So it's one of my favourite choruses I think I've written. It's fairly involved, but I find that's the note that gets me, I've really got to get to it with a full voice, not with a falsetto type voice. Yeah. It's got to be full voice on that note in the chorus. So I'd say that's quite challenging for me out of all the songs. It's also one of my favourites on it.
Challenging, but can you get to it consistently now that you are warming up, looking after yourself, have your rehearsals, gearing up towards the tour, having more?
I'd say
rehearsals?
At rehearsals, the second set, I'm there. First set, I'm sort of warming into it. Yeah. But that on tour, the first set is the set. So I'd say I'm like 80% where I want to be with that note, and I sort of know what I have to do the way I have to stance, because I'm obviously playing guitar at the same time. That's another challenge. Yeah. Is when you're trying to pitch and sing and keep your shoulders down and keep it, all back and play the guitar and lean into the microphone. Yeah, there's a few things going on in play before I can get to that. And probably in the live set, there is one song where I have to hold one of those 30-second notes. And Richie's always standing across the rehearsal room watching, and he's like
timing.
Yeah, he seems always very impressed when I can do those really long 30-second notes, and that pretty much involves getting the breath in and holding it and letting it out really slowly. So that's something I definitely got from you. I could hold that note, but now I can hold. So if I get the air in at the right time on that one and really let it out at a really sort of slow pace, which is hard to do when you're playing guitar, I can get that long 30-second note that I have to hold, which is B or something, but like a relatively high one. So yes, very there's some challenges there, but that Rise from Agony would be the challenge.
Fantastic. Okay, everyone, get this album. You can get it in a beautiful digipack. Is it still available?
Digipacks are sold out.
Sold out. No more digipacks.
They're
The
sold
only
out.
one left in existence.
But we do have the finished pressing from our label, Inverse Records in Finland, and we have those in stock on our web store. You can head to Bandcamp to check out some of the music.
URL for Bandcamp is...
It's theeternal.bandcamp.com, I think. So, check it out if you're into sort of heavy melodic music. Yeah, and we're also playing at the Evelyn on the 9th of August, a farewell show before we head off to Europe. So if you're interested in, if this podcast happens to be out before then, come and check us out.
Yay! Thank you so much, Mark, for having me over.
And thank you for having me on your podcast. And thank you for watching if you happen to make your way through this.
Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Vox Singing Academy!
Thank you for watching. If you've found this video helpful, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. If you want to learn more about your voice, please post your questions in the comments below. If we pick out one of your questions to do a video segment for, you will win a free lesson with myself or one of my fantastic singing teachers. So until next time, aim high, chase your dreams, believe in yourself, and have fun singing.